Yeah, I'm just gonna have you guys sit over there. Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Folks, it's time to get to a novel, Coruscant Nights, Book 2, Street of Shadows, written by Michael Reeves. Now in this, Jax is trying to solve a murder mystery while I-5 is revealing to him the details of his father that were discussed in Darth Maul's Shadowhunter, a book previously written by Michael Reeves. But elsewhere, Darth Vader is freeing Aurra Sing from her prison and tasking her to track down Jax. Oh, and Captain Typhoid from Episode 3, he's investigating the murder of Padme Amidala, and he thinks the person to question is Vader. Is that a good idea? Probably not, but you're going to have to read to find out what happens. Alright, so what did I think of Book 2 of Coruscant Nights? Well, again, this is a very detective noir type book. Meaning if you have there are these old detective stories back in the day where, he's trying to save the dame, a Zeltron instead of a foxy blonde or whatnot. And there's a lot of similarities to that. Just like how Kenobi, like I told you, is a Western, sci-fi movie with a Western theme. This is Star Wars with that detective noir theme, the, beat down, detective, or, a Jedi who's on the run, who's trying to, he only takes those hard luck cases that he can solve, so something that breaks his heart. Not exactly that he's smoking cigarettes in his office, but it's almost like that. And so you can tell Michael Reeves wrote this with that specific genre in mind. If that genre does not interest you, these books may not interest you because they're heavy on that. I didn't mind it as much. Now, I never read detective noirs growing up, but I know the classic staples, right? Because even in cartoons, they gave you the classic staples growing up, the detective and the good-looking girl that comes in and, sobs on his desk. And then, of course, there's always a twist, right? The butler did it or whatnot. So there is a twist as well in this one for his murder mystery. But anyway, that's pretty good. Now, that set aside, there's other stuff that I like that Michael Reeves does in this book. One of them is, of course, he is threading the needle through all of his previous stories. Now, remember I told you I-5 has been in every one of his stories, minus Death Star, but I-5 is kind of the central character who's been a part of all these adventures. So now he's finally sharing with Jax, hey, here's what happened to your dad, Lorne, from Darth Maul's Shadowhunter. And so as we're reading it, we're supposed to be going, oh yeah, I remember when that happened. Now, does that mean you have to read Shadowhunter to understand what's happening in Coruscant Nights 2? No, you don't. But for those of you who were reading along with Michael Reeves' stuff, he's doing what every other author has done and played within their own sandbox. They made up this character, made up these storylines, almost their only mini world, as Timothy Zahn says, sandbox in the universe. And they're playing with the same characters and continuing the same storylines. So Michael Reeves does that, and he does it pretty well here. And of course he has I-5, who was there to experience it all, who can bring this over. The events of MedStar as well will be mentioned in this. And so I-5 is sharing this information with Jax, and it really strengthens the continuity between all of Reeves' stories. Now, another neat thing about this is Captain Typhoid. He's been in it before. We've talked about a short story with him. Not much has been shown of him lately. In fact, he's not that explored much from after the prequels. But I guess Reeves thought, okay, the prequels are over. Lucas at the time said no more. There's not going to be any more movies. So it's free to take over any characters who didn't die in Episode 3 or in the prequels and continue them on. Hence, Aurra Sing is brought out of prison. They didn't want to use much of her. The comic books did a few things with her, but they couldn't do that much with her because is she going to be in Episode 3? Will she die? We don't know. So we're going to just do a little bit of story here and there and kind of leave her alone. But now that she's done, okay, that's a character I can take and put in my book. And same thing with Captain Typhoid. He's like, okay, that's a character I can put in my book and give him a storyline. Speaking of spoilers, I think I'm going to give the spoiler alert here, even though it's not that big of a spoiler. And so if you don't want to hear a little bit about the ending, go ahead and tune off. I'll see you later. I'm not giving my full review on the entire series until I review them all. So, spoiler in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Who dies? Of course, it's Captain Typhoid. You don't go against Vader, right? You don't, spit in the wind, pull the mask off the old Long Ranger, and you don't mess around with Vader. Those are the rules of the universe, man. It wasn't that big a death. It wasn't that shocking. It was more satisfying. I was like, yeah, Vader better kill him. You know, we need to see Vader killing more people and more characters too, especially from the movies, which is great. They're already solid names, you know. So the fact that Vader kills him doesn't surprise me, but it pleases me and it actually makes sense in the overall story. All right, folks, that is all the time I have for now. I'll see you next time with another video.